Hello, Zeljko. First off, thank you so much for your patience. It's taken me way too long to get this to you. I've tried a few times, but the problem that I tend to run into, and I ran into it with Maya as well, is that I want to make these videos and I keep waiting for the right time to do it. And there just never is going to be a right time to do it, and so it just comes down to me having to just commit to like, okay, I'm just gonna do it and get it done. So I apologize. It's taken me entirely too long to get this to you, but I have watched the video. I have some feedback that I'd like to give. I have some ideas that hopefully will be able to help you. The main points, the first things that I saw that I think are things we can work on, some things that I thought maybe were lacking, were first off glute mobility, where I think your glutes and your hips are a little bound up, and it's causing you some problems with your starting positions in the deadlift, and also with your the bottom position of the squat. I think you're losing tension in both of those, and we can maybe recover some of that with some glute work. I think that there is. You mentioned I think the kyphosis in the spine, the upper back. But I think there's a few ways to work around some of those restrictions and try to get a little bit of upper back tension, because not only is there some breakdown in your spinal neutrality, but it's shifting. So you're starting in one spinal position, but then it's changing, which means that it's not just a mobilization thing. There's also some strength and some stability issues going on there. Otherwise, if that was just the way that your spine was, you wouldn't be able to establish that position without any load. And then also I think that we're having some issues with keeping your adductors active, because then you're hitting the bottom of the squat, you're losing this tension, the knees and everything collapses, and that's why you're ending, or that's why the reversal portion of the squat is a different position than when you go into the squat. Your ascent should be the same positions generally as your descent. And so, first off, let's see if I'm trying a different camera method than I've used in the past, so hopefully this works. I'm going to link you a video that Alan Thrall made in setting up the conventional deadlift. It's the 5-step system for setting up the conventional deadlift. Because what's happening is you're spending a lot of time in this position, where you're really losing a lot. Where I think the gist of the video is going to be when you're setting up, line up the center of your foot, shoulder width, and keeping this neutral spine. Your hips being high is okay. That's not a problem. The problem is when you're getting this spinal breakdown. So trying to keep this all neutral, you're going to be kicking your hips back slightly, and then the knees are going to break a little bit, loading into the glutes. You're going to be into this area. Let me see if I can even make this happen here. Where I'm loading into the glutes and dropping with my hands straight down, and the bar will be right here. I'll make contact with the bar and then pulling as if you had a string coming up from this part of your traps, in between your traps. That's the part that's going to go up, and that's going to pull you up, and it's going to actually ratchet your hips through. And something that I want us to work on is to get some of that spinal stabilization using the lats. So taking a band, if you have access to a mini band, take your over-under grip, whichever is your normal grip, give yourself some distance, using your lats, feel your shoulders come together, and then down. So my back position is shoulders together, pinch the scapulas together, and then down, so that you're creating a long position. That's going to engage the lat. Together, down. Pull the band into your legs as if you were just holding it here, and then kick the hips back and keep that band right by your quads into that part of the knee. That's your deadlift position. My lats are engaged this whole time, keeping the band close to me. That's your deadlift position. And if you're not able to get into that kind of position, then we need to open up your glutes and your hips a little bit. And I'm going to link another video that I made about some ways to go about doing that. And it may take some time, but use that tip. The videos, start every workout with this, so that you get accustomed to being able to keep your lats engaged and stabilizing that neutral spine. And you're going to watch the video that I send you with the Allen Thrall deadlift setup, and you're going to watch the video I send you with the glute mobility. That combination of things may help you get into a better position, because I think that's the biggest issue. So you're starting out in a position and then you're losing all of that tension right away, and it's causing you to have some issues. In terms of this happening, that's almost more of just, you can't, if you were in a better position, the bar wasn't in front of you, it's just you're defaulting to try and save the lift. And I think that those cues may be able to help you a bit. In terms of the squat, I'm seeing kind of a similar thing, where you are, when you're engaging into the squat, you don't have, your weight distribution looks like it's a little bit off. And so I want you to think of the 3 points of contact of your big toe, your pinky toe, and your heel. That's where your weight is evenly distributed. And no matter what width you have your feet at, your weight is distributed like these little eagle claws. And once you have the bar up here, you're going to keep your hips under you. You're going to kick the hips back a little just to make room. So once I have room, I'm engaging my glutes, I'm holding this tension, and then I'm tracking down with my weight in those 3 points of contact, no matter where I go. And then the problem that I'm seeing is you're losing, your hips are coming under like that. You need enough glute mobility that you can get all the way down here before that happens. And then you're going to try and imitate that exact same motor pattern on the way up. So no matter how wide my feet are, hips are making enough room that I'm tracking my knees, keeping my hips engaged, not just pushing out, not just pulling in, but tracking straight through the center of the foot and keeping all of this engaged so that I can put force onto the bar with my hips. Now, something that tends to happen a lot is when people are trying to push their knees out, they're not keeping their adductors engaged, the inner part of the quad. And a way to drill that, as well as being able to drill establishing that same lat tension here, right there, that's going to stabilize the spine as well, is I want you to implement some bent over rows into your programming, but I want you to do it a certain way. If you can, get into a squat rack. Set up a bench in between your feet. Have the bar on some safeties. Set your feet on either side of the bench so that your knees are touching the bench, and then keep your hips activated on the bench. Kind of pinch it together. Don't let them collapse, but in this stable position, keep your adductors engaged. This keeps and while your glutes are engaged, it keeps that whole hip working. And then when you're doing your rows, I want you to deload every single rep with your upper back, and then establish that position, pull it into yourself, and release the position. Get used to that isometric hold, while my glutes are engaged, while my knees are keeping contact with that isometric hold. That is going to train you to maintain the tension in the entire hip, from the outside to the inside, all around the circumferential tension of the hip. Because what's happening is you're getting to the bottom of your squat, and to achieve depth, you're having to relax, which you don't want to have to do. So it's very important that you prioritize your glute mobility check out the video that I'm going to link along with this one. I'm also including a video from Kelly Starrett and Mobility WOD to work on some of that ankle dorsiflexion. It's going to take time, but it's something that you just kind of have to pluck away at and try to make a little bit better each day. I'm going to include the Allen Thrall deadlift setup video, which might help just approach it in a different way. It's something I've personally been using, and it's been simplifying my setup. So once we have the glute mobility improved, that cue of pinching the scapula, then like reverse shrugging with that tension to activate the lat, and practicing it with a band, keeping it close and doing that so you're getting your setup more consistent. And then working on those mobility areas, breaking at the hips first for the squat, keeping your center of gravity on those 3 points of contact and letting your knees track without losing tension on the inside of your knee, of your leg, because if you get to the bottom and there's no tension here and you've only been pushing up, if you kick back at all, your inner thigh, your adductor magnus goes from 0 to 100, and all of a sudden there's activation on this muscle that's been relaxed. Keep tension the entire way, so it's like drawing yourself in before jumping. You wouldn't, if you were going to jump on a box, you wouldn't just drop and jump. You would draw yourself in and keep all that tension on those hips throughout and stabilize everything, and then drive with everything you've got. So, those are the things that I wrote down based on what I saw. If you have any other questions or need any other clarifications, please let me know. I promise to be more timely in my response next time. I still am a little ashamed at how long it took me to get this back to you, but I did want to make sure that I did it today, and so I couldn't put it off anymore. Trust me, the reason is because I want it to be good enough, and I'm a perfectionist, and I constantly feel that if I'm going to do it now, it's not going to be good enough. So that's something I'm personally working through, and again, I appreciate you being patient with me. I hope you found this helpful, and I will talk to you very soon. Check out the links that I will also include along with this email, and or the email that this video is linked in, and let's see if we can't help you out a little bit. So thank you again, and I will hear back from you. Bye.